Okay, guys. This lesson here is going to be a little different. Um, this is something that I think is probably a little long overdue with my channel, but better late than never. So, what is the objective good? What is the objective bad? How do we know if something is good? How do we know if something is bad? Um, most things in my life, the good is not the opposite of the bad, right? Most things in my life saying what makes my life good is music, shelter, people to be around. What makes my life bad? Medical situations, psychological situations. Those make my life bad. So you can kind of see how there's a that the good and the bad are not the opposites of each other, right? So what makes my life good is the people in my life, the music I listen to, actions such as this. This makes my life good. What makes my life bad is medical situations, psychological situations, financial situations, right? So not having enough money makes my life bad, but having enough money doesn't make my life good, if that makes sense. So that was a long-winded way to say that this is not that. What I'm about to describe is not that situation. What I'm about to describe is that the good and the bad are the opposites of each other. So let's talk about that. What is the worst thing you can do? I'm sure some of you have probably got a couple ideas in your head. Some of you says, "Oh, well, hurting someone you love," or whatever the case may be, or again, some most of us have our own definition, okay, and this is going to be my definition. The way I see it, outside of a very specific scenario. There's a very specific scenario where this might not be the case. But just on a whole, 99% of the time, what is the worst thing you can do? Not love yourself, not love those that count on you. Not love yourself and not loving those that count on you. So, why is that the case? So, step one, not loving yourself. If there's any progress that's going to get made in your life, and I mean true, meaningful progress, you have to love yourself. You have to want to allow yourself to get better. Okay? You have to say, I'm worth getting better. I'm worth improving this situation. I am worth loving myself. That when I look in the mirror, I'm not perfect. It's okay. I can still point to the good things I do. I love myself. That might be easier on some days than others. That's okay too. It's a journey. But the first thing you have to do when you get out of bed in the morning is you have to love yourself. Forget your friends, forget your family, forget any sort of spiritual situation. You've got to love yourself and you got to say, I'm worth getting better. I'm worth investing. So, the worst thing you can do that's going to just shut down everything else is not loving yourself. You've got to love yourself. So the worst thing you can do is not love yourself because you're not going to take care of yourself. You're not going to give yourself a chance. What's the second worst thing you can do? Not loving those that count on you. Why? Number one, they didn't ask to be born. Now, maybe you voluntarily took this person into your life. Okay. At that point is you still have to love them, right? Because if you don't love the people that count on you, you are making their life infinitely harder for the rest of their time on this planet. If you honestly don't love the people that count on you, whether it's nieces, nephews, children, grandchildren, coworkers, I don't know, maybe whatever. Some coworkers might be a little too far, but if you've got people in your life, whether there's blood between you or not, if you've got people in your life that are counting on you to show up, to do a good job, to provide certain amount of resources, if you don't love those people, you are making their life a lot harder. And I mean that. You are setting them up for a lifetime of challenges. Because the problem is that the child isn't going to understand why they're not getting loved. They're not going to understand why you're absent. The child's just going to say, wow, there must be something wrong with me. Wow, I must have did something bad. You can't do that to that child. That child didn't ask to be born. Okay? And what's going to happen is that child is going to spend the rest of its life trying to recoup and regain ground that it should have gotten when it was little. It's going to get into toxic relationships. It's going to get into the toxic habits. It's going to get into the toxic activities. It's going to have toxic thoughts about itself and about the world. Because it's going to say, you know what, there's something about me that ain't right, or there's something about this world that ain't right. And then that person is going to have to deal with that. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to deal with it in a destructive way. This ain't hard to figure out, guys. So, like I said, not loving yourself, and then not loving the kids that count on you. Not loving the people that count on you. If you can do those two things, if you can love yourself, if you can love the people that count on you, you know, you might never really achieve anything much beyond that, but my God, like that was like 85% of the battle right there. Seriously. You might have financial situations, you might have medical situations, but if you love yourself and you love those that count on you, man, it's like that's ancillary. And I mean that. That's ancillary. Yes, being poor sucks. Yes, being sick sucks. But when you look in the mirror, you see good. When you look into the eyes of those around you, you see good. It makes the journey a lot easier to deal with. And just to kind of circle back to that is because when you don't love those that count on you, what's going to happen is that process is going to repeat itself. And now that person doesn't love themselves. And that's going to turn into this whole drowning out those voices, drowning out those emotions, processing those emotions, doing things to feel good about yourself. You know, if I get this, or if I get that, or if I did this, or if I did that, instead of saying, hey, I've got value as I am. And let me build on that. Let me see how much light I can bring into this world. It's possible you can do it. So the worst thing you can do is not love yourself. The second worst thing you can do is not love the people that count on you. If you can do those two things, if you can love yourself, if you can love the people that count on you, you are helping this world function better. You are helping those around you function better. You are helping yourself function better. Because here's the thing about it. The world's on fire, right? There are some people that literally just want this planet to burn. But if you can love yourself and you can love those that count on you, you're at least not fanning those flames. You're at least not throwing wood in the pile. If anything, you're probably grabbing a fire extinguisher. I would rather grab a fire extinguisher. I mean, if someone said, hey, John, you know, you've got you got one of two options. You're either going to add to the fire or grab a fire extinguisher. I'd rather grab a fire extinguisher. And if you say you got 3 options, you can add to the fire, grab a fire extinguisher, or do nothing. Well, doing nothing isn't adding, right? It's not the best, but it's not the worst. So Like I said, worst thing you can do is not love yourself. Second worst thing you can do is not love the people around you. At the same time, the best thing you can do is love yourself, and the best thing you can do is love those that count on you. And to pull that scenario back, if we zoom out, if every person on planet Earth did that, number one, everyone would love themselves. So, God forbid we all ended up in space pods by ourselves. We would all love ourselves. And if we're loving everyone that counts on us, that's pretty much everyone on planet Earth, wouldn't you say? So, if we all love ourselves, and then if we all love those that count on us, I don't know who's not included in that equation, right? Like, who doesn't fall into one of those two categories of loving yourself or loving those that count on you? Because if you're a child and you say the older people that I live with love me, right? And it might be even maybe an adult child. So what I'm getting at, guys, is that if you love yourself and if you love those that truly count on you, whether it's a child or an adult or a niece or a nephew, whatever the case may be, I don't know who's not included in that equation. God forbid someone on planet Earth has absolutely no one in their life. Like they're literally living out in the middle of the woods. They can still love themselves. So hopefully that makes sense, guys. All right, cool. I will see you for the next lesson. See you.